Welcome to The Lost Signals Discusses Film and TV. Using the revolutionary Manzur-Ramosi Thurlow scale,
or MOTS,
we scrupulously review these art forms with an emphasis on narrative structure. Join us for another entertaining episode. Welcome to a very special edition of the Lost Signals Discusses Film and Television. I'm your host, Joe Soria, and today we are indulging my long gestating dream of a long-form discussion of the films of 1996, a year I consider pivotal in the history of film and the year that made me, and the movies that I think made many of us. So we're all around the same age group. So indulging me in this endeavor are Scott Thurlow.
To be 13 again, man.
Oh, Steve O'Mercy.
Can't wait to talk about 96.
And first-time guest, and probably one of the people I saw a good batch of these movies with, the fresh tomato, Daniel Kirschenbaum.
Hi, coming live from Yavne Academy.
Live for the Pharrell. So there's a fake applause for everyone. We got a little game show going. So we're going to have some fun today and not be so stringent. The goal here, we're going to do a little draft, basically, of the movies. So no repeats. We're not going to do our top fives and just have the same top fives. But we're going to go through probably about 5 movies each, 5 rounds. And then maybe play a little fuck, marry, kill, French marry, kill, whatever version of that game you call it for some of these films, some of these actors, maybe some of the directors, and we'll see how that goes. So,
right on.
Sounds fun. I know that there was a Lost Signals episode on nostalgia. I don't know if anyone wanted to pinch on that, but I know that's pretty much in the wheelhouse of why we're doing this. So I figured if someone wanted to speak on that a little and refer to it, Scott.
No, you're right. Yeah, we did it like as a philosophy or something about a year or so ago, and just like, and viewed through like 3 articles that were specific, like here's why pop culture, like here why and how it like, manipulates your nostalgia and why it works. And it's basically like, it seems obvious, but like it's like a psychological thing. So of course we were all, like you mentioned, Joe, roughly the same generation, 13, 14 or so, like adolescents and the teenagers in 96. So those are your formative years. You're forming your impressions and your likes, dislikes, etc., right? So like anything that hits you around that era within the next like 4 years is going to affect you, and like you'll feel it and like ingrain it more deeply than you will as you get older. So by the time you're like 25, you know what I like. I know what I like. So I've seen a lot of horror films, so now I like horror, like whatever. So just sort of like that effect. It's just that, again, it seems obvious, but you don't think about it really. It's just like sort of some conscience sometimes, and that's probably why like many of these films we're about to talk about have such an impact on us. And anything you see around that age is going to have that same effect. So that's about it.
Yeah, they get stuck there. You have anything to add, Steve, on your?
No, I mean, I don't. I have such a vague recollection of that. I think I looked it up and we did it like the month before the pandemic happened.
I thought it was last
and
summer.
It's been like a lifetime since then. So, but I do remember, talking about
nostalgia for that summer.
Yeah, exactly. I wish I was back then. But like, I remember talking about it and bringing up some of the movies from this era and stuff from this era. So yeah. I'm looking forward to going through these films again and hearing what you guys think about your memories and all this stuff.
And a few we did review, like just as separate episodes, like previously. So, and we mentioned, I believe, at least often than not, if whoever's pick was like, yeah, I saw this movie when I was 15 or whatever, and it was fucking awesome.
No, and it gets stuck there forever. I think we did a Robin Hood Men in Tights. I know that a lot of people liked, and that was pretty much just like 12-year-old me, like, go at it. So like
exactly
the same thing. I was just thinking today, and I wasn't wanted to play a game like what theater I need. I'm gonna remember, and I'm you know what? Let's just get into the draft and start it off. Intro hop exciting. Welcome to the 1996 draft. So the order of the draft that we put out is I'm going to go first because I made it up and I want my number one choice. Or you do it like a fantasy sport draft. So I'm not going to get to pick for about 7 more. So the punishment for getting that top pick is not getting to go for a while. So we're going to go Joe, Dan, Scott, and then Steve for 2 at the end. And then back to me, back the other way. So
and so on.
And so on. So, and we'll, one of us will name it, give about, 30, 45 seconds rundown of the movie itself, what we loved about it, maybe some experience, whatever, and then let other people chime in. So, this doesn't last 4.5 hours, which it easily could.
Sure.
So easy pick for me. The reason of all of this, the reason I think I still love movies, probably my favorite director still to this point. Fargo is my favorite movie, and I watched it again last night. So this gave me another. I need a reason to watch my favorite movie. But
right on, don't you know?
it was. It's like butter, and it's so crazy how it's like less than 100 minutes. I don't know how many great Oscar movies just kind of, even though it's all kind of slow, it's still so well paced for what it is. It's like the most well paced slow movie that there ever was in essence. And it's the pick since I saw it in 1996. I looked it up. This movie was released in April of 1996 and became an Oscar nominee. That's kind of one of those crazy, the Coen brothers were never actually the major Oscar contenders until that, and they had these kind of that vibe where it just lasted through. Even Big Lebowski was a spring, early summer movie, I think. Some of their later movies. So I just remember opening the Bergen Record, my uncle saying, look at the newspaper, pick out a movie. And I saw the little poster with the times, and it said Route 4 Cineplex, Odeon, and he didn't care what I wanted to see. I saw that body and I was like, that looks cool. I don't even know what Fargo is. I never heard of that place, So, that's like my nostalgia zone, and film nostalgia begins right there. So, just a little on the movie. Obviously, it starts with this is a true story. The famous "This is a true story." You have these thunderous Burwell score comes over while like a garbage car is driving through the snow blindness, and it's just a movie that's unlike a lot of any other movie. It's such a 90s movie though too, because it's so many people there's no pretty people. It's not a pretty people movie. It's actually there's movie stars, but they're not movie stars. They're like working actor stars in essence. And when you look at it, there's no just like Charlize Theron like uglying up or something. There's Frances McDormand is not an unattractive lady, but she's pregnant and Midwest pretty. Let's go with in this. So it's got this just normal vibe, the funny looking people, and then it has Buscemi. I always said Buscemi my whole life. Dan knows that, like, I started the Steve Buscemi.
And Peter Stormare, dude. Don't forget him either.
What's that? Peter Stormare, whatever it is. I mean, it's just like, it's nonstop. So, I mean, William, Casey, we can list forever. So, I don't want to go too much, but this is the source of half of my usernames in my life, probably my screen names, all of my everything. So, Fargo, number one pick.
Yeah.
Let me give Dan a little taste. Go at it, Dan.
Well, yeah, no, I was going to say I went to middle school and junior high with Joe, and I was getting into movies around that time too, and I was really kind of taken by Steve Buscemi in general, in Fargo and a few other things, and I just assumed I was the biggest Steve Buscemi fan in my grade, and then Joe gave me his AIM screen name, which was Buscemi Fan 83.
I think it was movie etc. 5 and 3, but I had a Buscemi fan. It was my Yahoo email address.
That's what it was
at some point. So
yeah,
nice.
That's what it was. Anyway, so but you've done a lot with your status as the top Buscemi fan.
Yeah, thank you. So anyone else have any thoughts on Fargo? I mean, obviously it's like I said, I could talk about this movie the whole time if we wanted to, but I know you guys did review it, right? Because it's on the AFI list. So
haven't yet, actually.
We never got to. Yeah, we didn't get to it.
Well, I think we were saving it because it's such a beloved film. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll be there. Whatever happens. So if no one else has anything major to say on there, Dan, you're going to get your pick.
Okay. Yeah. Since my number one is actually the same as yours, Joe, Fargo. Moving on to my number two, which is we got to do it. It's 1996. Got to say Scream.
Scream. Wow.
Scream.
Wow. There you go.
I mean, that was probably the first time I saw a just currently released horror movie in a theater, and for all the genre commentary it does and all that kind of like, I mean. And compared to something like Cabin in the Woods, I think the difference between this and something like Cabin in the Woods, where it's like a horror movie that wants to comment a lot on the genre, but Scream is scary. Mm-hmm. And Cabin in the Woods just kind of there's no time for that. There's too much comment. I mean, it's fun. It's fun, but Scream is fun and scary like the whole time. I mean, that Drew Barrymore sequence that truly, really, really works to this day. I've seen it recently. It's one of those movies where like. Everything is kind of humming along so well that there are people in the cast who generally you may not like, may find people kind of obnoxious, and they're doing great. Jamie Kennedy is great in this movie. David Arquette is great in Scream. Everyone is. Yeah, I mean, actually, Neve Campbell. I feel like if I give the movie one demerit, it's not her. It's not her fault, but like she's like the traumatized main character, and every other character is having such a good time. It seems like, and every time it comes to her, like the energy kind of sags a bit. But
room sucker, yeah.
Kills the
no, it's not her fault. I mean, the character is traumatized and sad the whole movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I was not expecting that, but I know Dan loves his horror. Anyone else?
I do.
Any thoughts on Scream?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good pick. I have it much lower, but I guess I'll say this, like, yeah, for what it did for like just the way it changed, or like set a new landmark, like a new sort of turning point in horror, and also sort of like not just comedy, like both of those, right? Like you said, Dan, it balanced it. Like it's legit scary. It's got some legit good like horror parts, but then it's also doing like a commentary upon it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's gory too, real gory. Like I mean, upsettingly gory sometimes.
Yeah, unexpectedly so. Like I haven't seen it in a while either. I haven't thought about it, but like for sure, I would agree for the fact that it is like a landmark in that sense, and a lot of other things like it took their cues from it since that era. So
yeah.
It's a Halloween level revival of the horror genre, basically. I mean, it was a dead genre for a while there, probably in the early 90s, late 80s, I would say. Not dead, but at least in the mainstream. And it basically became the like dimension was almost created out of that, in essence. And that became like the horror banner that all these sequel engines and all these movies, Final Destination, I Know What You Did Last Summer,
sure.
into Scary Movie, right? Into all the parodies that came from it. So, and the twist ending, which I think is a good, like a twist, but like the ending scenario,
it's solid enough.
It's a good ending.
It was surprising. Yeah. Good and surprising. Yeah. And, and like, probably if I could think of like 2 or 3, like, I don't know, like screenwriters whose dialogue style has like utterly infected the pop cultural landscape. Like there's like Joss Whedon, Aaron Sorkin, and then Kevin Williamson. Kevin Williamson was writing Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer and Dawson's Creek, and like after that, every movie you saw sounded like those movies.
True, yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
That's a good point. And so Dan's got Scream in the book. So I believe Scott is on the board.
All right, so this one might be obvious. Fargo is not my number one pick, but I knew it was going to be yours. This one might be obvious to you guys. I'm going with 12 Monkeys.
I was 50-50 on it because 12 Monkeys was officially released late 95, but was Oscar a season. So I didn't go back and forth.
It's on the list,
but I'll let you go with it. Yes, I'll let you go with it. So I figured I'd let it for somebody else. 12 Monkeys right below. So go ahead, Scott. I'll let it live. Yeah.
So this one we did review, in fact, like on the onset of the pandemic, because I was like, it's both that and a time travel film, and it's both awesome it's awesome at both of them. And it's one of those ones, like this one for me is like the one when I was a kid and saw it, like, and it just drilled itself and I could not escape it. And so ever since, anything that had any like semblance to it, I was probably automatically either at least for sure going to be interested in, if not like, because of its similarity to it. And I still think it holds up. We gave it a pretty high score, like a 9 or something, 8.7 or whatever it was. It was high and people who hadn't seen it were like, yeah, it's really good. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's one of my favorite films ever. I'll tell you, like, it's fucking sick, and I've seen it like 20 times. So yeah, I was gonna pretty much almost always gonna be my pick if I got to it early. So 12 Monkeys still stands, and it is one of the most nostalgic films from the era that still I love to this day.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't even see, I guess because it's not like technically 96 or whatever.
It was on the wiki list.
It was on the wiki list that I sent, so I figured it would happen.
Yeah, I didn't want to see it.
Yeah, so
otherwise it would definitely have been on my list if I had seen it.
Same with me. Same thing happened with me.
Yeah, 12 Monkeys is right below it for me too. I mean, if people hadn't seen that and didn't know that there's this. Brad Pitt was nominated for an Oscar for a movie in 1996, basically, that he was an insane guy with crazy eyes and looked homeless like he did in California, but a different version of homeless. And you're just like, man, it's just 12 Monkeys is also, I mean, that's why this is it. And I thought 12 Monkeys was on that list too. I didn't have it on mine just because of the year, but yeah, no issues here.
I went by your guidelines, mofo. So anyway,
I gave another list. There's so many lists, and I know I had told there's issues with the internationals and the release dates. So if some things come up similarly, we're gonna let it flow. Especially that's why we're going a little deeper anyway. So Scott's got 12 Monkeys. Anyone else have any thoughts on 12 Monkeys before we move on?
I just want to hear that organ theme.
Great film.
Dun,
Go
dun,
see.
dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
There you go. Everyone knows it. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Steve, you're on for 2. So go
All
at
right.
it.
I'm gonna do a. I think that this one might be a surprise to people, but I'm gonna put Romeo and Juliet, Baz Luhrmann's
Ooh.
Romeo and Juliet up on my
Watched
number
it
one.
Wednesday
Not a surprise
here.
to me.
Watched it here Wednesday. And
I fucking love that movie, like more than I have any right to love that type of movie. But like the fact that like finding out years after having seen it that it's like literally the closest the closest to a Shakespearean script that any movie has ever done, it like made me love it so much more because of how bonkers the actual action in it is and how insane he tries to go with all the, you know, like all the scenery and the blocking of the shots that he has in that are insane. And I just remember seeing it and like, oh, this is like directors are allowed to do shit like this, like, you know. So I'm gonna put that as my first one there. I really, you know, DiCaprio I think is pretty like he's good in it. Like all the actors are good in it, but it's really like the thing that I remember about it is the brightness and of the colors and like the craziness of the action that's going on while they're quoting lines of Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, there's at least, I feel like everybody that's seen that movie when they were, you know, 14 or whatever still has at least one of those scenes like emblazoned into their memory of Shakespeare and Romeo and Juliet, you know. But yeah, so I'm gonna put that as my number one.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Scott, I think you had a little hands up, so go ahead, do it up.
Yeah, no, so like I mean, you say it's surprising, but I know you very well, and if we're being honest, since you picked it, it's at number 6 for me.
Okay,
so, like, it's quite higher again. Like you're right. Like in general, you might not expect that, but I agree with you. Like it also is one of those ones that like I never forgot. And it, you know what I mean? Like I like my Shakespeare shit in general. I'm like, oh, it's like they're actually doing like the real like saying it in Old English more or less, like not Old English, but the original lines, anyways, not an adaptation. So yeah, Steve, like good pick, and I had it pretty high, like higher again than you might expect on in general on this list, but I just still think agreed it's a great movie and it affected me as well.
And my lady asked me to watch it on Wednesday because when I told her 1996, she pulled the Blu-ray out. I probably hadn't seen it in about 15 years, and I had to say I was visually impressed that some of the actings or some of the, I don't know, some of it's over the top. It's got that 90s vibe of like every scene sounds like there's a car screeching behind it. Like, and you have like these opening like overperformance Dash Me Hook versus versus John Leguizamo in the gas station. And you're just like, what's that?
Harold Perrineau is on fire. Like this is a hot take movie. Like Harold Perrineau. If this movie was Harold Perrineau versus John Leguizamo, it's a 15-star movie, I think. Because it's Romeo and Juliet. Like that movie, I would pay a lot more money to watch. You know, crazy cross-dressing dance party versus cat person. You know, he really is the fucking prince of the cats. It was insane. And then it starts with the Radiohead song. Over the things are crazy. Good one.
Finishes the Radiohead
I think
song.
Didn't they write that for the film, Joe? Didn't they write exit music because?
Yes, but Talk Show Host was given to the film and is not on any other release. Exit Music is on another release. So this is the lone release of Talk Show Host. And it's actually the beginning where they have the little, you know, the TV pops up and you have that like style. And there's even the choir, the Black Kids choir doing like, you can't always get what you want, but they do the Everybody's Free, basically, which turned into Everybody's Free Wear Sunscreen, which is a hit song by Baz Luhrmann 3 years afterwards. You know, it's just a weird time. So yeah, I don't know, Dan. Any notes on Romeo and Juliet?
What was his last movie? Was it Australia?
I believe it was, but he's making the Elvis movie, the one that actually, what's his name, got COVID in Australia. Tom Hanks. Yeah, he was about to film as Colonel Parker. They're filming in Australia, so that's a next movie.
He also did The Get Down, which was
did The Get Down on Netflix.
The first part of it was
the show. Yeah, I remember that.
And I think he's done some of the Broadway play stuff, like when they did Moulin Rouge on Broadway and some, like, you know, some other things. But I don't think he's done a ton film-wise, you know, since he's either selective or probably wants to do something big, and those are things that are hard to get made. So, but definitely a good choice. So, Steve, go over number 2.
All right, my second one, I actually was like, I'm kind of torn between 2 or 3 movies, but I have a feeling that I'll be able to say almost all of these, or at least, well, I'll either say them or somebody will. So It's all good to me. I'm gonna go with From Dusk Till Dawn, though. I remember seeing this film at my buddy Morgan's house. I just did an episode with him actually recently, but when we were in high school, I went over to his house. He had the VHS tape, and watching this movie and being like horrified and like amazed at the same time. Just the freaking codpiece gun, everything, like the whole beginning being this like weird, completely different movie than the the vampire film that I was expecting to see, and like all this, all this craziness that went into it, and like. Yeah. Like we were saying before, this is one of the movies that on this list that I have the most nostalgia for because of just seeing it then. And then we probably saw it a couple more times in high school with like other friends and stuff like that. And like, it just had a lot of good memories of like doing like, in high school, like dude nights and like hanging out, watching like horror, or like crazy action movies or, bloody gore fest or whatever. So yeah, and Rodriguez, I think he was kind of. This is about the best that Rodriguez does, in my opinion. I think which is good, like very good. But I know he's been doing like kids movies and other random shit lately. But
he's gonna be doing Mandalorian now, the offshoot now. That's why he did the last episode. So,
that's right.
But. I love Desperado.
I hope it's good.
So, I just watched Desperado actually too, Joe.
Great movie.
I hadn't seen it in a while. That's actually the kind of like balletic John Woo action. There's a lot of that in that movie. It's really good. At least that stuff is.
Even in the Johnny Depp sequel version, I forgot what Mexico one. It has the same vibe. Like it didn't do it as well. Doesn't have Steve Buscemi. It doesn't have Quentin Tarantino. Which this movie and all those movies are kind of in the same world. And it has a one-time Clooney performance that doesn't exist in any other variant. There's no other. George Clooney is like a drunken, druggish. I don't know if it's drugged, whatever, but like a tattooed up killer badass brother movie, like
bank robber or whatever.
Yeah, but he's not. Yeah, he's been a con bank, but a suave one. Here he's suave, but he's out of jail suave. Like badass bad.
He's down and dirty in this movie. Like,
he has a neck tattoo, and it's like that. Okay, I can buy him as a killer, but I can't buy George Clooney with a neck tattoo. I'm sorry.
This is no Ocean's 11 Clooney. Like,
right.
It's a good pair, Steve. I have to say, this seems like the other side of Romeo, like the gun side of, like, it's got the same weapons. Like, if they're holding weapons, you could have George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino fighting, like Mercutio and John Leguizamo, and that movie would be fine. It would be a 1997 sequel to those movies that they could do pretty easily.
That's how you get it made.
I hadn't actually seen this movie until about 3 or 4 years ago. For some reason, it just blind. I mean, I knew it was there forever, and I was never into vampire stuff, and you always saw that and like, this doesn't seem like I would like it, but I loved it. And, it's got a great script too, and it's got good direction. It's got a great vibe, and it's a great B-A movie. So good choice, Steve-O. Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, it's a great pick. It was pretty much within range between that and Romeo. But I will say, did you guys ever or know about they made it so Rodriguez had like a short-lived, like he like show ran like his own little channel. And it was called El Rey, which is the thing from Planet Terror. But they made like 3 seasons of a version of Dusk Till Dawn, and it was quite good. At least I thought it was solid as hell, like way better than you might expect it. And they had like, it was about the brothers, like George Clooney's character. Obviously, wasn't him playing it, but I thought it was pretty good because I think Rodriguez had like a hand in it, at least, if not was writing it or anything like that. But it was on his little short-lived channel, and it was quite good. And I was like, sweet, because I do have fond memories and nostalgia from Dusk Till Dawn. And again, I've seen it like probably a dozen times as well. So yeah,
I mean, I didn't see it. I know it existed. I remember reading about it, but like, if we're gonna name it, I bet you a lot of these movies are either gonna have a variant of a sequel later on, or Fargo has 4 seasons of television based on it.
That's right.
Later, so
at least they're called Fargo.
But they're not. Like they're just like more things that don't take place in Fargo. So
for anyone who's interested, I just looked it up, so you can watch that on Netflix now. That series. So
all right.
Oh, the Dust Till Dawn.
Dust Till Dawn.
Yeah, it's
All right,
solid.
Dust
Yeah,
Till Dawn.
check it
So
out.
on Netflix, check it out. So Scott, you're up, I believe. So do it up.
All right. So this is probably the one you mentioned earlier because Dust Till Dawn was close, like I said. But now I'm gonna go with Change Spotting, of course.
Trainspotting, yes.
Mhm.
Like I don't know if that's
Good one.
did you remember that movie, Steve, or like remember that's what the reference was?
Yes.
Hmm.
Like
What?
That's what I was talking about in the beginning
An
before the
influential
podcast.
British druggy movie, I think he said. Like
It wasn't on the mega list.
I didn't know which one you were talking about because I didn't see it on the list, but I was like, what is it? Like one of Guy Ritchie's first movies or something? But yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so like I mean, again, I don't think I saw it in '96. Probably saw it just a couple years after that, maybe like early college, whatever. Like doesn't matter. Like just a little bit after. And yeah, like it was one of those like, I guess in retrospect, it was one of those like sort of like hipster movies like for the times, but like I still do think it holds up pretty well, and it like has like it's sort of like a time capsule of it. And the acting is really good in it. Like you said, like the script, or at least similar to what you said, I think the script in this is quite tight. Like it's really well written, really comes together, and it all works. So I had it pretty high, and I'm going with that one for my pick in this round.
Yeah, I figured it wouldn't get to me, so I didn't even. It's like the same premise. I did a tier system. I didn't do a straight 20 because I wanted to be able to change it up a little bit. But I mean, it's got so many amazing scenes. It's got the opening. I mean, I could still like when I wanted to be a screenwriter. I remember reading Trainspotting over and over again. You just read that for opening monologue. You read that cut through, and you choose life, choose a job, choose a career, choose a family, choose, and it's just like that. Right there. I mean, and it's a cool. It was one of those. It's a cool movie, but it was still a huge movie too. So that was a kind of the era where that could happen. In movies broke through, but they broke through on their own. And I think that's what some of these movies, didn't. Cool. Trainspotting was not tagged to be some huge. It wasn't such huge book and huge. It was a popular book, I think, but it wasn't some like mega adaptation with megastars. Ian McGregor,
Harry Potter.
Yeah, Ian McGregor was like in Shallow Grave, and I guess in like some other movies later in the year, like maybe Pillowbrook or Brassed Off, or I'm sure no one's gonna listen. I won't spoiler alert shitty movies, but Ian McGregor I have my own experience with. He's in Fargo season 15.
3,
I think. Yeah.
The one with David Thewlis. I think.
Well, David Thewlis, who's on one of my F Mary kills. So I love love Trainspotting too. When I used to list out, and still for my youth, I always say Fargo, Usual Suspects, 12 Monkeys, Pulp Fiction, Trainspotting, like pretty much a variant of those 5, and that are in the top 10 at all times. So
I used to have a T-shirt of Ewan McGregor climbing out of the toilet. But beyond that, but beyond that, Robert Carlyle, like in that movie, I saw Full Monty before I saw Trainspotting, and seeing those in the reverse order, it's insane that they saw Trainspotting and were like, let's make this guy our nice, charming lead character in Full Monty, because that is, I had no idea he had that in them based on Full Monty.
Fucking Begbie, man.
Begbie is an all-time character.
Sequel, not so great, I'll be honest.
Agreed. Like they checked in on that, but we don't have to mention that. But I'm going with the original one, and I think it's solid.
And the soundtrack, best soundtrack of the '90s, maybe.
It's very possible. I mean, soundtracks are pivotal in many of these movies. We did the 12 Monkeys humming already. Scream, I'm sure has. I'm sure there's something in it. I'm not, but Fargo for me is score.
We agreed, but that is part of it though, for sure. Like the scores of these films are very like intertwined with how they affect nostalgia.
I mean, Steve said Romeo and Juliet too. We said Radiohead, but you have Cardigans. I mean, is like that song lives forever. So many other things and so many pivotal scenes. So I'm sure it'll keep coming up. But let me I think it's Scott's turn. Oh, Scott just went. Dan, you're up. Sorry, you're up, Dan.
Wait, I'm up.
You're up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm going with a movie I've loved for a long time. Big Night.
Ooh, there you go.
I never saw it.
Big Night it's a really great movie. It's a wonderful movie. It's I mean, first of all, I don't think there's enough good art about like food, but this is the best food movie. Anytime you ever see anyone on Twitter prompt people with like, what's the best food movie? This movie always comes up. Right. I mean, but beyond that, it's co-directed by Campbell Scott and Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci co-wrote it with someone named Joe Tropiano, and it's about 2 Italian brothers from where are they from? From Abruzzo in Italy, and they live in New Jersey in the 1950s, and they're trying to make a restaurant work. The brother, like Tony Shalhoub, is like a genius cook, but the people in their neighborhood only seem to want to go to the Americanized Italian restaurant. But anyway, it's a funny movie. It's I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like it's very tender. It's got maybe one of the best endings of the night of like any movie. It's like this long shot. I don't want to ruin it for anyone. I think it's really worth seeing. It's just so simple, and it's got such great characters and the way they interact with each other. I can't recommend it enough if you haven't seen it. And if you want to just see a movie, especially after this year of COVID, if you want to watch a movie that makes you really, really wish you were at a restaurant, it's got like an all-time great meal scene. So I recommend. So that's my enthusiastic advertisement for Big Night.
Nice.
All right.
I haven't seen that one either, but it's another movie for the list for sure.
Yeah, I've saw it a long time ago, but I remember it being like the kind of breakthrough for Stanley Tucci. That's what I remember, because after that he became like a bigger star, I think. And Tony Shalhoub, I think, wasn't in, but he was in other stuff. What is he in, Wings or something? I feel like
Wings, then Monk.
But Monk wasn't started yet, I don't think yet. Maybe it was in there, but Stanley Tucci after that became like the kind of du jour kind of character actor, half Italian, and has such a great varied career that when you see him in like Spotlight or the one with Katniss, Hunger Games, varied craziness, and good pick, I think, for sure, Dan.
Thanks. Yeah. I was worried. I wasn't worried that of the other ones. I wasn't worried that was going to get scooped.
Yeah,
it's just
no, I don't think so either. I was like, I'm trying right here because I got two coming. I have two here, and I'm like, I want to call out 4 movies, so I don't want to name all of them.
And the truth of the matter is, like, there's like a little self-consciousness in this choice because I didn't want to just be up here on the film podcast with you guys going, "Hey, you guys should ever see Broken Arrow?"
Yeah, well,
because there's a decent chance I could pick something like that.
Well, you can, and you should. I would love to hear that one. Let's see. You know what? In that vein, I'm going to take it. I'm going Mission Impossible. I'm going blockbuster. I mean, this is the one. This is it. Brian De Palma directed a $500 million top 10 grossing film of the year. That's basically like a sexual tension psychodrama with a chord scene in the midst of sweat festivals, and it's the making of a series that, petered out very pretty quickly, but just petered out, and they got revived. So this is the beginning of this year. There's another Tom Cruise movie in here. I won't leave someone else call it out, but this is the beginning of not beginning, but another apex for Tom Cruise to become a superstar when it came to like box office, even more into the 90s. You had the 80s, you have your Top Gun, you've got your Risky Business, you've got all kinds of other things.
Cocktail,
Rain Man, whatever.
4th of July.
Well, keep going, right? But this movie, though, this is different. Mission Impossible is different than the rest of those. Sure. And he carried the series. That movie is so good. It's such a good, it's just a good story. There's so many good other character actors in it. There's so Emilio Estevez, Kristen, the beginning, like part of the Ving Rhames. You have the two parts of this year are, and this era are, is it a Ving Rhames movie or is it a Samuel L. Jackson movie? That was always a game that I play. Like, which big you got Dan?
You got to throw in Delroy Lindo.
Yeah, Delroy Lindo.
Delroy Lindo was like in every.
Well, I watched 3 movies this week to catch for this, and I had forgotten that Samuel Jackson was in 2 of them, and of course he was in them. So, and it's the beginning. I mean, he took everything that moved. What, Dan? You got another comment?
No. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, I mean, so anyone else have any? I mean, Mission Impossible. I think just that scene alone, the hanging scene would be it. The opening scene has got the great intrigue. And it just the score. I mean, another score. This was like, the U2 guys doing the theme song for Mission Impossible. I had this on CD single for sure, 1,000,000% chance. So it was in my boombox.
This was kind of in that like James Bond vein type of thing that I was like, that I always have loved since I was a kid. So when this came out, I was all over it for sure. And great pick. Good pick.
Yep, I'm with you. One more. I don't know if we're going to do this category, but originally we had what the best thing you saw that year, like in theaters. And I remember seeing this in theaters, and I was like, again, 13 years, like, oh, it's fucking so awesome. But it does hold up as a good action movie. I agree, and it did kickstart sort of a new era as well. So
yeah.
It's a Memorial Day special, I think, too. It was one of the first times the Memorial Day became the big holiday of movies, and not, I think, one of the other holidays that comes up too in this year.
Yeah, I mean, all those sequences. I remember seeing the trailer for those. Like, the trailer for those sequences. Like, there's no way the movie lives up to how exciting those look. And then you go see it, and it's got the break in at Langley. It's got the helicopter in the tunnel chasing the train, and then the helicopter blade just petering out an inch before his neck.
Yeah.
There's things in that movie are just images that'll always be with me.
Yeah, man.
They're great.
I mean, those mask ripoffs too. We forget no one else did this. For some reason, Mission Impossible is the only one that gets to do like I can be someone else's face and just rip off a mask, and I forget about it every time. You're like, wait, that's
Dark Man did it though.
Until Face Off. Yeah.
Face Off. But Face Off, would actually just stole each other's faces. This one, it's like, I mean, I guess Avengers did it eventually, right? Or one of the, I think it's in Captain America, one of them too.
Yeah.
My other one, I have two comedies here. I want to go hard, and this is hard. I'm
coin.
I'm
I
gonna
think
go.
you might have two similar comedies to me.
I know I'm not gonna get the other one. I'm sure I'm gonna go Kingpin. I love Kingpin.
You would.
Was a Wheelhouse Peter Farrelly brothers guy. I know they get the poop now after Green Book or whatever else, but the 90s comedy is Farrelly. Okay, this and There's Something About Mary are the two. I don't. That's Harold Ramis level. That's Zucker level. That's like a pairing of like the best movies you can make. And Kingpin is like a movie about bowling and Amish bowling road trip, one-handed like craziness. And it's one side of, you get a multi-sided coin of Woody Harrelson this year as well. And this is the one side of it that like I love. Like Roy is just such a character. And I mean Bill Murray as the villain. I mean this movie, and then you just have this sexy, whatever, I forget her name.
Vanessa Angel or Vanessa something like that.
From Weird
Angel.
Science. Vanessa
I think it's Angel.
Yeah.
Like, she's so good in it too. You get Randy Quaid and his goofball moves. You get, I'm sure, other, but just laughs. And then that ending, the fight, and just it's still sad, but it's also hilarious. And it's a really good version of a comedy that is over the top at some points, but still has heart. And so Kingpin.
It's a good quirky comedy. Solid choice.
Any other thoughts on Kingpin?
No, I mean, I remember just loving that movie when it came out, or when I first saw it. I probably didn't see it in the theaters, but whenever I got to see it, I remember it being like hilarious. And I think I watched it with my dad the first time, and you get the like infectious laughter and like like when your dad starts laughing or whatever, or somebody like close to you when you're a kid, and it's just. So I just remember like having pains in my stomach, being like doubled over laughing at that film. So
I love me some Big Earn, and I gotta say, I definitely saw most of these movies in theaters. But I was gonna do that. What's the best you saw in theaters? I think we're kind of, some of us are saying the experience. So I figured that's better than just like listing one. But these two I definitely saw. I remember Mission Impossible at least 3 times. I don't think Mission Impossible was a one-timer. I mean, that movie, Kingpin is a Comedy Central. Like, I'll sit there and watch the next 30 minutes of it, no questions asked, during the early 2000s or during the university days. But
I'd say the same thing about Airheads, and it's better than Airheads.
Yeah, but that has Buscemi.
Yeah, that has Buscemi. Never mind.
And Adam Sandler doing not an Adam Sandler movie. So and Brendan Fraser in the lead. So it's quite a film. Is Airheads this year? Did I miss? That's 95.
I think it was 94.
4? I want to say.
Yeah. I want to say too. Yeah, I think that sounds right, Dan.
Still another one of those ludicrous plots that only the 90s could put, like, here's a movie idea. Take over the radio station for 2
The grunge band holds this radio station.
Yeah.
Do it.
They were both of their time, for sure, but they're both pretty solid.
And I think that the Farrelly brothers were, I don't know if they make these comedies that much anymore where they're not fully politically correct and we're allowed to get away with it. And I enjoy these movies still. So for that era and love, Dan, you are up. Follow up Kingpin, please.
Follow up Kingpin. I'm gonna do another sports comedy. Tin Cup.
Tin Cup.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big sucker for Ron Shelton movies. It turns out, like, White Man Can't Jump is an all-time, is a perfect comedy, untouchable. Tin Cup. What I really love about Tin Cup is like Ron Shelton seems to be like the one guy who gets the best out of Kevin Costner, like this in Bull Durham. Kevin Costner, I always find really stiff and awkward, and like he just kind of expected to be this kind of really like featureless, emotionless kind of Midwestern American male in most things he's in. But something like Bull Durham Tin Cup, it's like, just don't shave for a week and kind of put on ratty clothes. And for whatever reason, that seems to have the effect of like melting away all that awkwardness and stiffness in Kevin Costner and turns him into like a really genuinely charming actor. It's beyond that. It's got the MVP of the '90s. It's got Rene Russo.
Yep, true. Right.
And she's again like she is in everything. She's just has an easy charisma and intelligence, and like it's all movies she's in are made better for her being there. Kevin Costner is doing his best work. Cheech Marin's good in it. I seem to recall like it's just a good like low key, low stakes movie about like kind of attitudes in sports and how they relate to life and that kind of thing. I'm sure we've all seen it. It's kind of like one of those ones. It's a breeze to watch.
Yeah,
I agree. We all know Costner, terrible Robin Hood, but good in Tin Cup. So.
Yeah. I remember I saw that movie so long ago, and I don't think I've seen it since, probably 1997 or something. But like, I don't remember a ton about it. But you're right. I do remember Costner being pretty good in it. Like I just didn't remember enjoying the experience of watching the movie. Yeah,
he makes it tough sometimes, but not.
There's Drury Costner, and then there's like Charming Costner, and they don't usually intersect in the same movies, it seems. So like you get one or the other, you get him like really depressed or in the middle
stoic.
of the water, stoic, or you get him kind of he's still going to be stoic, but he has a smile on his face most of the movie, and that's when he's in the wheelhouse like this and Bull Durham or Ron Shelton collection of sports of that era a little earlier. Definitely a good choice. So Tin Cup is Dan's choice, and now I believe we're out to Scott.
All right, so I'm gonna go with another one. I thought you might do this one, Joe. It's kind of like in the same vein as Mission Impossible, but I feel like we got to put The Rock on the list.
Yes.
So I'm putting it on there. Now I had another one. It was close between a third action film, which
you might get it coming around. So
which might feel like the one I'm not saying, the one that isn't The Rock, might more fit into a different category. But I'm putting The Rock on because I still, I believe, have a VHS copy of it kicking around somewhere. I might have donated to the local bar, but I donate some stuff. But anyways, so I had that VHS and I watched it a lot as a kid. And like, yeah, it works. Of course, it's fucking Connery, like it's, again, of its time for an action film.
I mean, it's Cage. Let's just get technical here. Yeah, I say it's Connery. It's Cage. Like this is the beginning of Cage. I mean, like honestly,
I'm just saying, like Cage. I didn't know Nicolas Cage when I was 13, 14, but I did know Sean Connery from other shit, obviously. So like, it was more impactful that he was in this like action film that was like really fucking cool as well. Like that same. I'm just saying, in the same vein as like who was that? Michael
Bay.
Michael Bay.
This is a Michael Bay movie.
I'm pretty sure. I was like, I know it's him, but. Whatever though, like when you're 13, of course, that's the shit that you think is so fucking cool again, especially on a wide screen. So, and I still think it does hold up as a general action film, and it's still well liked and well remembered, well reviewed, and everything. So yeah, it's for me, it's up there, maybe tied with a couple other ones, with Mission, with one more that one of you might say. But that's my pick for this round, and that's where I'm going.
The year of I've been thinking about this. I wanted to do in the intro, but I didn't. But I mean, we've had this year of 18 months of no film, and that's why I wanted to do this because so many of these memories come from being in the theater. Sure. And The Rock, well, yeah, it might have been fine in VHS on my 23-inch bubble TV, but I could tell you it was much better on theater.
That's why I saw it in theaters, and then probably asked my parents to buy me the VHS or whatever.
Yeah, and run a ragged. And I know Dan is a Cage enthusiast, almost a completist. So
no. That is. I would never bite that off. That's never. I'm never going to try and see all this stuff.
He's only done like 200 movies. So.
No, yeah, like every year he's paying off like a wizard he's employed or something like that by like doing like 12 straight to Hulu movies.
Yeah,
Bangkok Dangerous 7. So
Gotta get paid, man.
But when he's doing his thing and when he's in a good something that knows how to use him well, there's no one better. I mean, we watched Vampire's Kiss pretty recently, it's just you gotta be thankful he exists.
And Ed Harris, it's got a great Ed Harris back.
Ed Harris, yeah.
Well, I mean, like these are all people that became like the people in everything. Like there's no Tommy Lee Jones in this movie, but there might as well have been. Basically, these roles where they were in this.
If you told somebody, you're like, "Oh, remember when Tommy Lee?" And they're like, "Yeah,
he was one of the whatever." And it has that like the soldiers getting screwed. So, see, like that's been like the premise of the next like 30 years of action movies, and all the Michael Bay-ness is in there. I mean, yeah, it's in Bad Boys, but like They're shooting missiles off Alcatraz. I mean, let's just play this movie.
Can't get more badass than that.
No,
Yeah.
you can't. And then Sean Connery's 80 and he's saving the day, or whatever he was.
It's like he did in Indiana Jones. That's why it was so fucking awesome. Like to say.
Yeah, just like this crazy overwrought soundtrack, and then the camera zooms in on William Forsythe, and he's like, "May God have mercy on our souls." It's just that kind of movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Just should have pulled out Welcome to Con Air next, just in case. Just do a
Con
little
Air was
sample.
also 94, I think, as well.
No, Con Air's later, 97 or 98.
I was a little later.
I think it was 97.
It
Yeah.
was plus or minus
It's
2,
right on the top. I mean, you've got this. You said Face Off. Like, this is the beginning of where you get
Of that
Cage, big Cage.
Not just Cage. This is like Travolta is like kind of peaking as like action guy at this time too.
I'm wondering who's going to be first on that one. So that's getting in there. He's in there. Let's see if anyone picks. Travolta.
I really hope someone does.
I hope so too.
right.
Steve, you're up picking a Travolta movie, correct?
It sounds like you're trying to push off this movie to somebody else. It is on my list, but it's much further down than I think we're going to get to. But I had a couple of ideas, and I guess I'm doing 2 in a row now, right? So
yeah, you can get a pair.
I'm going to go with the first one. I'm going to go with Cable Guy. This was just like
waiting for that from you.
What's that? You wouldn't expect that from me?
I was waiting for that.
Waiting
Waiting for it. Yeah.
It wasn't like number 3.
This was like a absolutely bizarre comedy that I have no idea how it got made, but it's just like the darkness of how like intense Jim Carrey gets in this movie, and like playing against clueless Matthew Broderick is, I don't know, especially when I first saw it.
It's a strange film, but it works.
I was loving it so much, and it was just it made me laugh at how uncomfortable it seemed to make other people sometimes. And like that was like I feel like that was a lot of my enjoyment about it. Was like, this is gonna make people feel like not know how to feel. Like doing the what was the secret, what the hell was that game called that they play? You know what I'm talking about?
Password.
Yeah, it's like passwords or whatever, and they just do like all the sexual ones with the family and shit. Oh my god! But and the Star Trek fight in the middle, and
Classic, of course. Yes, everyone remembers that.
Freaking
Somebody to Love.
Yeah. Oh, somebody. It's just like there's so many like memories about this movie that are like flooding back to me now. But yeah, so I'm gonna put Cable Guy as my third pick.
That's funny because I mean, we're not even mentioning it, but it's a Ben Stiller directed movie, like a youthful Ben Stiller, like doing other things. But this is where he also kind of didn't get to make as many movies because this movie didn't probably do as well as they thought. This is one of those $20 million, like, let's get Jim Carrey, and then we're going to make this weird movie, not make America. Well, Ace Ventura is weird. All these movies that he did are weird, but that it was just like off. It wasn't just like weird, it was off too.
I think it's that also that it was like darker than a lot of stuff that Jim Carrey had done before, so it wasn't like expected.
No, that's for sure.
I mean, Ben Stiller, Ben Stiller also did like Tropic Thunder years later, so he got stuff like that coming out. And
right on. Cable Guy's my number 1 honorable, so now that you've picked it, I'll tell you that I had it there. So
there you go.
All right, you're on for another one, Steve, I believe.
All right, so my second one is going to be James and the Giant Peach.
Ooh,
this movie.
Sure.
I was like at a time where like I was kind of just getting to be a little bit too old for stuff like this. And I saw it in theaters with my family and my little brother, if I remember correctly. And I remember like planning how to like say that I didn't like this movie, even though I fucking loved it so much, in school to keep my cool with all the cool kids. But like, it's like,
you were cool. I don't remember.
No, that's why I had to keep. That's why I had to maintain. Like I couldn't go down any further. But it's just a movie that like I'll remember the like how different the animation was to a lot of stuff that I had seen before that, and how I loved the script to it. I haven't seen this movie in such a long time that I really want to go back to it soon and just watch it again. But I figured I didn't know if anybody was in a year full of all these like great gross out and like intense comedy, like adult comedies and action movies and stuff. I was like, I want to throw at least one kids movie in here that I really liked. And so James and the Giant Peach.
Right on. I can respect that.
Yeah. I mean,
that's right from Nostalgia Heart Engine, I feel like, and it's also like that cusp where like, like Nightmare Before Christmas. It's not a kids movie. It's a movie, you know, that lives in a kid's form, maybe. We do a comics podcast, Steve. So like, you know, we're in kidstalgia our whole lot, you know, our whole days. So,
right.
but it's a good choice though. Dan, were you gonna say something on G?
No, I was gonna say he did Coraline too, right? Same guy, Henry Selick.
This sounds about right. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I believe it.
All those Roald Dahl books were like perfect to, you know, mine for movie gold, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. I think Scott, you're up.
All right. So, well, then I'm going to double myself back to back then because no one's done it yet. Then I'm going to follow The Rock up with Independence Day.
I think there it is.
All right.
Do that one. Like
the big one.
It's like if that's like the perfect double feature. Like if you watch them both back to back, you're like, I've seen every action movie ever now. And like, they're both amazing, or at least they're still good enough. They're still solid as hell. They were amazing at the time. Now, granted, like I got a little older, my taste changed, but I still think they hold up. And I'll say this: this is my number one thing that stuck with me from Independence Day. Not the speech, not the one that Bill gives on the runway, but when he talks to the alien. And I've always said, they're like, "All right, alien, what is it you want humanity to do?" And it just goes, "Die!" And like that always stuck with me. Like, I'm like, "Yo, that's solid." So I just feel like, but it was so huge. It was like, one of those late 90s, like blockbuster things. Like, again, that I think the Trinity would be those two plus Mission Impossible, maybe something like that, right? They were like, that was the entire summer of that year. So I'm just saying, like, and it still kind of holds up, like, more or less. And I have to give it credit for that. So that's my double action bill, my, double feature, if you will, for in that vein.
I gotta say, like, Independence Day and The Rock too, but probably Independence Day even a little bit more. I could just watch anytime it's on, and I'll be fine. Like, it's not like, you know, it's not like the best movie in the world or anything, but it's like so watchable and just like
you watch them blow up the White House, you watch a scene I just said, and you watch you watched Will Smith fight a thing, and you're good.
Yeah.
I mean, Will Smith, this is the beginning, like Bad Boys is the year before, and this is the other side of it. This is the PG-13 Will Smith myth maker, basically, that makes his career.
Yeah, never went back.
I mean, go back to Wicked Wicked Wild Wild West, you know. Otherwise, I mean, it's not my favorite movie. I wouldn't have picked it. It's a perfect blockbuster of that period. And I won't give one of the reasons I don't think I could have named it, but I'm going to pair it with one movie. I'm going to steal a movie that no one's going to name anyway and say that when I saw this movie on July 4th weekend that year, as my parents' anniversary is July 4th. And instead of, I think, celebrating that, my mom took me to the movies and we saw this and we saw Phenomenon as the other. So, we did the double feature.
List, you're right.
We did the double feature, and I'm guaranteeing no one has Phenomenon on their list, so I'm okay with it unless people love when John Travolta does this. I will always remember Richfield Park Theater upstairs, Theater 7, Theater 8 switch around. So
beautiful theater, Lowe's Theater.
Yeah, Lowe's, Sony 500 Cineplex Odeon. So thank you, Mom.
Got it.
For taking me there. So definitely, I think it's up to me, right, Scott? This is tough because
how do I know, man?
I think it is. I'm actually
on Dan.
So it's on Dan. Yeah, sorry, Dan. You're up. Good.
Oh, that's okay. I just want to say Randy Quaid now has 2 on this list. So
champion.
Yeah, just keep him in mind for MVP. I'm gonna, you know what? It's 1996. I was probably one of the last people hanging on to my love of grunge. I'm going with the documentary Hype.
Oh shit! Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yeah.
It's candy for me. I just love watching those bands. The famous ones and the less famous ones I didn't know about, like Fastbacks or Ted or all those other ones, and it was really comprehensive and illuminating about the scene to people who didn't live in it. And there's a lot of really memorable stuff, like the woman who gave the interview to the New York Times, I believe, who just made up a bunch of grunge lingo and then they printed it in the New York Times. The live footage is great. The interviews are great. I mean, people who at that point who had developed reputations for being kind of sourpusses did these really nice, loose, charming interviews. And it was oh, this is just they're just selling them as sourpusses. which is part of what the whole movie's about anyway. But beyond that, yeah, it's a fun,
Yeah, I remember
easy
Hype. Yeah, good
watch
call.
doc.
Nope, that's a good choice. I have one doc on my
There you
list
go.
that wasn't on it. I mean, it was right below it, but I do enjoy that. But I think it's. I mean, Dan knows. I love me some music, so a good music doc for that era and grunge. We know. I thought you were gonna steal what I wanted so badly, so I'm very excited. Actually, any other thoughts on Hype? It sounds like you guys haven't seen it, right?
No, I saw
that
it once a
movie-
while ago,
Yeah,
but I remember
one
liking it
time.
because I was in the grunge as well. So yeah,
Mm.
I just didn't think about it for a while, but that's
Yeah.
all. Sorry, Steve-O. Go ahead.
Same thing. I haven't thought about that movie in forever. I saw it once. I might not have even seen the whole thing. It was like at a friend's house, like that, the next year after it came out. So, yeah, that's like a blast from the past. I got to go look that up and watch it, especially with a recommendation like that,
Yeah, I think
That's why we bring Dan into the podcast.
Yeah.
The standard, not standard. That's what he's here for.
Is someone not talking about Soundgarden? And I come.
To the rescue.
Yeah, parachute in.
Parachute. Ooh, the savior of cool is here, everybody. So all right, Hype. I've got my last two picks. Sadly, I have about 15. I'm still on my level 1. I thought I'd get down to level 3. So I'm actually have to decide between 2 of 4 movies.
All right.
I am going to go with an obvious one. This is easy. Beavis and Butthead Do America is
Thank God.
the best animated movie essentially of lifetime. We're talking theme. We're talking soundtracks. We're talking humor. We're talking hanging. We're talking Vegas. We're talking old people. We're talking Demi Moore and Bruce Willis uncredited bad guys. We're talking everything that you could have. Love Beavis and Butthead.
Love Roller Coaster.
Love Roller Coaster of Love. I love which one is it Roller Coaster or is the other one the LL Cool J? One of them, their name isn't on it because like they basically didn't agree, the label didn't agree to like let them record it, so they gave them the song on the soundtrack, but I don't think they're listed as the artist on the soundtrack or something ridiculous. I want to say it's either Ain't Nobody, the cover by LL Cool J.
Yeah, Ain't Nobody.
Or that. It also has Fly Lesbian Seagull. I mean, when you were a fucking 13-year-old boy and you heard the song Fly Lesbian Seagull by Engelbert Humperdinck, you'll never forget the name where you were. Definitely saw this in theaters. Definitely had it on VHS. Definitely had it on DVD. Definitely seen it many times. I'm on the roller coaster of love. Mike Judge, thank you for this and Office Space right after it. And so... yeah, Beavis and Butthead. I know you're all nodding your head. Anyone want have specific comments on Beavis and Butthead traversing this great nation?
Not specific, but it was on my honorable. So yeah, I'm glad someone put it on this list because I do think again it's fits in the era, like it's perfectly there, and good choice.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where to put that one, and I
Yeah, I was considering.
I'm glad somebody said it because I don't know if I would have, but I'm glad it's on the list.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I also was considering grouping it with like Brain Candy and Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie, as just like a general.
Well, we're in the 5th round, so if you weren't ready to pair, this is the time. If you're really going to go Dan, you can go Dan next. So
No, I'm not doing it. But
all right, and we've got.
I did watch Beavis and Butthead Do America 8 days ago.
Well,
I'm not. So
Nice.
it's fresh in my mind.
Is that for Frankie?
Yeah, it's the day before his birthday. The day before he was born, we watched Beavis and Butthead Do America, and then Amanda went into labor, and so now it's like a yearly anniversary thing. But really holds up. I'm not kidding. It's so funny.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I'll feel you.
It's
I'm with
awesome.
you.
Let's all live a little Beavis and Butthead life and get out there and do America, as they say.
Just do America.
Just America.
I mean, the name of the movie is Do America. I just
I've been
want
doing
to
America
put it out
the
there
whole
a
time,
million
man.
times. I'm so torn here. I'm gonna go with the cool kids pick. I think over the big time pick, and I'm going to say Lone Star.
Oh yeah,
I love
awesome.
John Sayles. I love Lone Star. This is before there's another McConaughey movie this year that's right on my list as well. And I love another courtroom drama that I love that I will get an honorable mention if no one else does. But this is like a beginning of the reconnaissance after you have Days Confused, and that's a hot like comedy.
Yeah.
But Lone Star is this kind of flash forward.
I believe I've seen it. I'm trying to think of
John
it.
Sayles mystery of like a Texas town, like the cops, and there's like a murder. And it's like a border town noir murder story. And this is like John Sayles' height of power. I'm not a huge fan of some of his later work. He's always inventive and creative. He's always a man of his own, and he is Mr. Independent. So for the year of like many great independent films and Miramaxing it up, and I'm going to say John Sayles' Lone Star as my final pick in the 1996 draft.
Well done.
I don't know any other thoughts on that, but
I haven't seen it, so I can't say much. But
I think I saw it once. Yeah, like if I don't remember it as well. I definitely see it at the time, but I may have seen it years later and been like, it's pretty good, but maybe I should go back and watch it based on that.
Yeah.
It's such a good noir, Dan.
Yeah, Chris Cooper's the lead guy. Chris Christopherson's the villain, and he's really scary. Like,
really good.
Nice.
Sounds good cast, and it's a real good movie.
Yeah, it's very early. It's like Chris Cooper also beginning his like, I'm always going to be the angry father or creepy guy looking person in every movie for the next 15 years. So definitely my personal favorite. Dan, you're up.
Yeah, I am up. I will. I think I'm going to go with. You know what? I mean, it's my. I'm going to say my second. My second least favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie, but that still makes it very high up there. So I'm going with Hard 8.
Hard 8 time, yeah. All right. I knew you had to represent. Dan is a PTA. Hard. And I rewatched it this week. So give us the rundown, Dan, for people who have not actually. Hard 8 is the debut of Paul Thomas Anderson, the filmmaker.
It's a movie about John C. Reilly and Philip Baker Hall, and Philip Baker Hall is kind of this father figure, kind of like the surrogate father to John C. Reilly, who's kind of down on his luck when he meets Philip Baker Hall, and he's like this kind of professional gambler guy with like a mysterious past. Gwyneth Paltrow's in the movie, and she's I believe a cocktail waitress, and Samuel Jackson shows up, and it's just and in one of my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson scenes, Philip Seymour Hoffman shows up for 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's the greatest 3 minutes of your life. At least it feels that way at the time.
It is. Just like it would be in the casino. I watched this again this week to like decide if it was how high it'd be on mine. I wasn't as huge on it as I remembered, and I think there's some lulls there weren't my favorite.
Yeah.
But that PSH, I mean, I wanted to stick something. If there's no other really Philip Seymour Hoffman movies this year, honestly, you watch him and you're just like, I need to go watch every Philip Seymour Hoffman movie in a row after this scene. So
it's like I mean, finding out that he had that so early in his career, it's like this kind of weird skeleton key to like the rest of his career, like this weird ability where he's playing characters that you like feel incredibly real and like obnoxious people you've encountered, and he imbues them with like so much in such a quick period of time. And that's like this movie I have to pick it because I need that scene in my life if I'm
taking the desert island and it has
the desert island scene. Yeah,
it has the beginnings of his repertory, so it has the Boogie Nights people that come back, it has the Magnolia people that come back. Later on he kind of shifts his repertoire, but that early portion trio, it all starts here with the Philip Seymour Hoffman, John C. Reilly kind of interplay. They don't have an interplay, but like they're in the same movie and they're in the same airspace. And Philip Baker Hall as well. I don't think Samuel Jackson ever pops up. He ends up going the Tarantino route, but definitely. It's a cool movie, and it has all the fingerprints of his filmmaking. The movie doesn't have the budget and some of the time. I think it ends very curtly and in a weird way personally, and that's kind of like ruined it for me. But it's I love gambling. I love craps, I love gambling, but I did love gambling, and I love craps. And it is such a good like dirty 90s Vegas like trash movie too in that move. So and diner movie too. Really at least 3 good diner scenes in as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's got that thing where it's like their character's first time through. You're like, I got to go back and watch this again, try and figure out this character a little more. I feel like that's like kind of the thing with his movies. Like The Master is the ultimate of that, but like this was like one of those ones where like I need to watch Philip Baker Hall do all this again.
It doesn't explain much either. Even the whole movie, it really just kind of flows. And I noticed that in Fargo, like you don't ever, go back to the beginning. You don't really know what got Jerry Lundegaard into all this trouble. He just owes money. They never say it. They're just like, how much money does he even owe? Like, it just keeps saying it's like, he can't, like, not even $900,000 is enough at the end. You're just like, so what did he do? Like, is he a gambler? Is he a drug addict? Is he like being, you don't know. honestly. And that's it's good, but it's also like they decided, you know what, we don't have to waste all of our time on building the story of something that everyone knows, like everyone can get into trouble. And the Hard Eight does do it and has a reveal of that, but it doesn't like throw it in your face the entire movie that there's like this kind of backstory. It just kind of lets it expose itself. And for that, you could see the PTA's writing is already on point when it comes to that. So
sure, absolutely.
So good choice, Dan, and good. You've done a good representation of yourself, just like everybody else. I'm sure it feels like they have. So Scott, you get your final pick here. Close it off the five here.
This one's tough because either like the big obvious one that I kind of can't believe no one said yet, but yet I can, or one that I think is a super underappreciated film that I've come to love a lot. So I think I might go pretentious route and do that. And I'm going to go with 2 Days in the Valley. I've never fucking seen this movie. Like, I implore you to go out and check it out. Fucking David Spade, Danny Aiello are in it. And they're like, sort of like weird, like hitmen who like team up, but then noir stuff happens too. But it's also kind of funny. Like, it's awesome. Charlize Theron is in it.
Early
as well. But yeah, like very young. But I still think it's a really underappreciated, like kind of the same vein as Hard Eight. Like, that's like a dirty Vegas movie, right? There's like a dirty, like California crime movie or something like that, right? So, like, I think it's shot really well and it has a pretty good soundtrack as well, if we're going to mention that. So, yeah, I've always loved it. And I've always tried to, like, I feel like not many people have seen it or, like, aware of it. And I'm like, it's a great movie. Trust me, like, check it out. So that's going to be my final one. And I guess maybe I'll ship, maybe if we're moving on to honor or something, like,
we're only one away from honorable mention. So let Steve-O finish his, and then you'll get. I've got a good 5 to 10 that we can do quick call outs and not not overdo it. But I don't want you to steal anyone's. I don't want any stealing, no matter what.
It's between 2 days and something else. So I'm sticking with
2 Days in the Valley. Also saw in theaters, and it's crazy because you're 13 and this is a nudity movie. I mean, James Spader loved doing.
Well, I didn't see it in theaters, but it is good. Yeah.
That's also tells you a lot about my parents, but whatever. Love. This is also a straight Miramax type movie. I don't know if it was Gramercy or Polygram or Fine Line or whatever one of these.
It's so obvious in retrospect.
These movies are
right after Pulp Fiction. Like this was in the kind of the churn of that.
The churn of like the 5 layers of story. So I had it on my lower list of like memorable noirish films and perfectly of the time. But any other thoughts on that, Steve, before you get your last pick in?
No.
All right.
I was thinking, like, do I want to put another noir movie in this list? And I don't think I'm going to, because the movie so it's between like 3 films for my last one. And the one I'm going to pick is the one that I remember the best.
Okay.
The other 2 I haven't seen in like a very long time, and I don't want to misrepresent them or something. I just have like, memories of
certain nostalgia for the other
forming. But the one I'm going to pick is Swingers. And this was like it came out before we were in college, but this was like the college comedy that
it certainly was.
So Vegas,
baby. Watched.
So Vegas, baby.
Yeah. So like, it was super quotable, super, like just an awkward comedy, but I still have fond memories of it. And we watched this fairly recently for the Lost Signals.
It was a while ago. It was less recent than you think, but
I guess maybe it was like 4 years ago.
We did review it a couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it still holds up, I think. And it's still like a pretty good experience watching. And I still like laugh at the jokes, and I still like, try to quote along with the movie when I like at least in my head, if I'm not annoying anybody else in the room or whatever. But like, Vince Vaughn, freaking
Jon Favreau.
Yeah, Jon Favreau. Forgot Jon Favreau's name for a minute there. Jon Favreau, and like just a fun like movie to, especially when we were in those college days, like
it was
sit
fun
around
then.
with your friends, get drunk or high or whatever, and watch this movie and hang out. And that's gonna round out my list.
That's a VHS special, and that's also the perfect counterpoint, I would say, to Hard Eight. When you want to, like, they may not have like one either in Vegas, but they're doing the same thing where they're trying to like game the system, get free hotel rooms, and everything else, but they're doing it with a smile. And this is a another, and that's why I think this, even though these movies, this whole year, this is my thought, isn't maybe the best set of movies the way I was looking through it. Some of the turns like this, Vince Vaughn was pivotal as well after this year, but before this year, he's nothing. This movie is a star maker. You got Will Smith being a star maker. You've got Paul Thomas Anderson. So anyone else on questions? I mean, comments on Swingers, because I have a lot of theories and theses that I want to go into on the honorable mention and, a few movies too. But I don't want to jump on Swingers because it's a great choice. I watched it recently, and every time it's on, it's awesome. So good choice, Steve.
It's it's like, you remember it as kind of like a pretty like light movie, but that like phone message sequence is brutal. Oh,
brutal. Yeah, when you said awkward, that's the best awkward scene ever.
That's the one everyone thinks of. But no, I was like this, Steve-O. I like it to cap off for you. I dropped it down to honorable because when we did the review, we were like, it's just, you loved it in college, yes, but it doesn't, the cracks in it, I think, show a little bit more, at least in retrospect when we did it. So that's why I had it out of my top completely, but I'm okay with it sneaking in the actual top via you, we'll say. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so, overall, I mean, I thought we'd have to go so much deeper on my list. I'm very, I didn't want to go too much on the top list. It's crazy. I thought someone would name Ransom, which is one of my personal favorite movies. And
I was debating it, but it's in my honor.
And it's
my guilty pleasure. It's
crazy. It's in the top 10. Oh, let's do let's do the guilty pleasures then, actually. You know what? I did name we could do it. Dan, if I'll let Dan said that one, so I'll let him start with it if you want, Dan, and give
with Ransom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really only guilty pleasure. I haven't seen it in a long time, and I mean, I don't like to get into the biographical stuff exactly, but like it's a little harder to watch Mel Gibson movies these days.
Sure.
But at the time, it was like, I mean, it's like a really like it's gripping. It's like Mel Gibson's always like kind of looking for an excuse to kind of suffer in his movies, so he picks like something like my kid has held hostage, and I could just boil with anger for 2 hours.
My son.
Yeah.
A fucking meme. It became a meme. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember it to this day. I mean, Rene Russo's in there again, Delroy Lindo again, and Gary Sinise is a really good. I don't want to give it away. Oh yeah, we can give it away, right?
25 years, guys. Just let everyone know it's been 25 years. We didn't go super spoilers, but
it's like Lily Taylor, Liev Schreiber. It's like a deep cast, like stacked with like really good '90s actors. And as far as like just the thriller goes, it works. It's compelling all the way through. That's my guilty pleasure.
It's possibly the best movie Ron Howard directed, and I know he's popular for like Apollo 13 and other, Cinderella, other Russell Crowe movies. But secret story for me always will be is that Ransom was filmed by the movie theater that I saw the movie in. Like literally, you're sitting in the theater, and the sign to get off like one exit before in Paramus by the Paramus movie theater. It's in the sign when he's like driving to go.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So awesome. Like not only is it like triple time, but like that's like nostalgia on top of nostalgia on top of nostalgia. Sure. Ransom. And it's crazy. It's a top 10 grossing movie of the year. So I don't know how I guess it's a guilty pleasure, but it is a huge...
to me, that makes perfect sense. Of course it is.
Right.
Yeah, give me back my son.
Everyone those movies $350 million now. They just wouldn't. Like that's just like a crazy, like to say like this made $309 million in 1 year.
I totally believe it, man. Like
I buy it.
Yeah.
All right. So anyone else? Scott, how about you have a guilty pleasure? Anyone else?
Yeah. This is my top one, and we reviewed it too. I made everyone review it. It's Escape from LA. I love my John Carpenter shit. And like it's not as good as New York, but like it has some parts that I really, really like that stuck with me. Specifically the ending, specifically a couple other scenes too. But I've always loved it, and I will always, if that comes on, like if HBO or Cinemax or whoever's fucking showing it, I'll just leave it on in the background because I do enjoy the Escape from LA, even though it's like it's not that great, but it's definitely watchable. It's entertaining at least.
Got to talk about the basketball scene.
Yeah, I mean, like that's one of the best things. Since it's 25 years, like you said, no spoilers. At the very end, when he shuts down, like, welcome to the human race, and he fucking smokes a cigarette while the satellites are shutting everything down, and the music's awesome because it's Carpenter. So that is my enthusiastic guilty pleasure from 96. Love Escape from LA. I'll always give it credit.
Yeah.
Devo, do you have a guilty pleasure you'd like to share?
Yeah, for sure. I almost said like Independence Day as my guilty pleasure, but I don't know if that really fits. But Biodome.
Come on, man. On my list. It was there.
Everybody loved Pauly Shore in 1996, man. And
let's change.
Yeah,
I didn't like Biodome because of the one actress in it. That's about it. Like
Kylie Minogue.
Was that her?
She's in there.
Yeah.
So I think Joy Lauren Adams is in there.
I don't remember.
It's a top 3 Stephen Baldwin performance. I'm gonna put on
Yeah. Oh my God, Stephen
And then he became
Baldwin.
a hitman in Usual Suspects.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, this movie is not good at all, but it was like, I thoroughly enjoyed that, and like Encino Man back in the day, you know, like, or even what was the frickin' Jury Duty?
Jury Duty, Son-in-Law.
In the army now.
Son-in-Law. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm trying. I mean, there's a lot of like schlock movies here that I don't know if I know we're running up on the edge of it. I had a lot of fun to do otherwise, but how about Daylight? How about a Sylvester Stallone? I'm in a tunnel movie.
All right, so
like it's like but in comparison, this was not one of the big hits of the year, but it's still like a very
it's in that vein.
Yeah. There's a ton of movies in that vein because I mean I don't know, I set up a whole list here and I'll just have to say there's so many movies. There's multiple movies with monkeys this year. There are at least 5 movies co-starring Damon Wayans this year that are like he's the buddy in robbing Celtics Stadium, or with Adam Sandler, or he's in Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Glad you get that one a shout out. I like that.
I mean, I wouldn't even call that a guilty pleasure. I almost put that on my top 5.
Right? No, and I'm just saying like it's just a weird year where like people made these like I looked up. Whoopi Goldberg made 6 movies this year. Okay, Jesus. Like she was in Eddie, where she's the coach, I think, of the Knicks, and then
coach of the Knicks.
Like there's like another movie where she's a reporter, but she's always wearing a suit in all these movies, and you're just like, I forgot Whoopi Goldberg was like a big star, like made in America. It's just hilarious. So I
feel like one of my speaking of the monkey movies that were in, I feel like my brother's like best friend when he was that age. His mom rented out like an entire theater to watch Dunstan Checks In. So that's where I saw that movie, in like the Denellen Theater down the street from us. We had the entire place store. So it was like a bunch of idiot kids running around.
Sounds like a party, man.
We don't want any distractions.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a sacred space.
Yeah.
We have to
I gotta chant Dunstan Checks In.
It is. And the other movie, if you're not remembering, is Matt LeBlanc and another monkey playing baseball in Ed. So if you want to get technical, right. They're always good when there's another animal involved. At least Baby's Day Out's not there. So
there's a cow and Twister.
I had Twister somewhere on my list. I think I might have had it low and guilty or something like that. But yeah,
Twister's in the top grossings for sure. You've got Twister. We've got
that's a guilty one for me.
I mean, we didn't call it Jerry Maguire. The other half of the tandem is still. I don't know. It's guilty. It's just a good movie. So I mean, maybe Eraser. I'm not.
I had it halfway. Eraser halfway.
Eraser. Yeah. Eraser has a crocodile. While we're naming animals.
See, Dan is a fountain of animal information, everybody.
I think there's a big one. Hold on. I think
where else can you get this kind of stuff?
Well, you just mentioned Adam Sandler.
101 Dalmatian has 101 Dalmatians.
At least.
That's right.
102, I think, because there's the mom.
No.
Isn't that the sequel?
The sequel, yeah.
Could be right. I don't know.
I didn't see him.
Sorry, I didn't need to make a correction I wasn't even sure about.
No, you're all good. So let's do. I'm going to do a few more of my.
Hold on a second, Joe.
Yeah, we're done.
Scott's trying to jump in.
Well, I got one thing. If you're going to rattle stuff off, but you mentioned Adam Sandler, mentioned comedies. I can't believe no one got to Happy Gilmore during the thing.
Especially when it said Tin Cup. I thought it was like the other point. I knew Dan wouldn't get to it.
That was what I was debating with for my last choice. I'm like, no one said it yet. Like, it's such, I think, a big nostalgia factor for me, at least. Now, is it one of the best movies of '96? I don't know, but it is hugely like I remember it and I quote it still like here and there. Like,
might have thought so at the time, right?
And again, it's within that comedy era, whatever. So anyway, I just wanted to slip that one in there.
To me, I'm sure that I was surprised that I didn't see. Like, I guess to me, the honorable mention I'm going to name here either me or one I'm surprised weren't there. So I'll say Bottle Rocket for the Wes Anderson.
Oh yeah,
I was going to say Bottle Rocket, but I couldn't remember like everything that happens in that movie. I just haven't seen it in fucking 12 years.
It's so good. It's so Owen Wilson.
I have it on my
beginning of the Wilsons too, and Wes Anderson this year. So I mean, like, obviously Steve Buscemi, who I met this year in Teaneck Theater, introducing his own film Trees Lounge, which he directed, which is a weird New Jersey creepy movie. I watched part of it with him and seducing Chloe Sevigny from an ice cream truck. It definitely is a unique movie. This is also the beginning of the Edward Norton peak, which is Primal Fear and People versus Larry Flint, which
I had
watched
People
last
versus Larry
night.
Flint low on my list. Yeah.
So I mean, I watched that last night, and between that and the Courtney Love is great in it, and Woody Harrelson showing that other really dramatic side that we get. Now he just goes back and forth, and no one cares. He gets to do. He's not Woody. He became an actor Woody. So.
Yeah.
And I said on the other side of my McConaughey, I love A Time to Kill. I can't believe it's 2.5 hours long.
It's solid.
It's such a good courtroom drama. And I mean, this is great McConaughey. There's bad schlock McConaughey that came up later. This was he was so into it. It's basically Ransom as a lawyer. It's not screaming, but it's like Southern charm. It's got that Grisham movies. You had to make Grisham movies back then.
Yeah, exactly.
And really important. And the last one I have here, I didn't say Primal Fear, or maybe I did with Edward Norton. And the last one is documentaries When We Were Kings, which is one of my favorite first documentaries I remember seeing. And I know we got hype on the call out. I wanted to get When We Were Kings in there. I almost did it at the end, but I went Lone Star and went with my heart. But when did win the documentary Best Academy Award, and for surely deserved it, and kind of gave me the insight of those political, sports history things. So I really, really love that. So Dan, you got any more honorable mentions you want to shout out?
Honorable mentions. Well, I guess I would say, has anyone seen Freeway?
I was going to say Freeway. Yeah.
Yep.
Don't remember
early Reese Witherspoon, Crazy Kiefer.
It's a real weird one. It's Reese Witherspoon and Kiefer Sutherland, and it's like the story of Red Riding Hood, only in modern times. It's kind of like a kind of trashy thriller movie.
Sounds cool. Yeah.
It was actually pretty cool. Surprisingly, kind of funny, dark comedy. I would say beyond that, I mean, if this was 96, I probably would have said Courage Under Fire and the Great White Hyper movies I loved back then, but I haven't seen them in a long time. Mars Attacks felt like maybe it deserved a shout out because that was a movie that was
thank you.
People, it was kind of people were a little surprised and taken aback by its sense of humor and didn't really go for it that much. And I feel like over the years, its reputation has improved, and rightfully so. I think it's a really funny movie.
It's cult classic. It's one of the ones I saw in theaters. One of the best things I saw at the time. That was where I put it in my list. But yeah, I'm glad someone slipped it in there because it's solid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say I think it's probably worth someone should mention The Craft on here.
Yep.
I had that in mind.
I thought you might have it, Steve-O, yeah.
I mean, it's worth talking about at the very least. It's nothing kind of takes you back seeing a picture from that movie.
Yeah.
That's one I was gonna say. Go. I'm not gonna steal some more. So go ahead, Steve. I got keep going on this forever. I've been looking at this list for 6 months. So
yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Well, as far as honorables go, the one that I didn't mention earlier that I wanted to put on my list was Bound.
Yes,
that's a great one.
And a really good movie, the Wachowskis' first movie, and just really good. I was just trying to think of can I think of the plot of this movie right now, off the top of my head. I haven't seen it in probably what it was. 14
They're
years
stealing the money.
I tried watching it last week. I have to say, it was very slow 90s. It was 40 minutes in and almost nothing had happened except for production scenes and her cleaning out a toilet. But it was still interesting. Yeah.
But that was a big one.
No, good call.
The other one I wanted to shout out, I was going to say The Craft, but good call on that. And Mars Attacks, actually. Cannibal the Musical.
Yeah. Stealth.
Trey Parker's college student film or whatever the hell it was. That I saw that one years later, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I was like, "Oh, it makes sense. It's the guy from South Park." But yeah, that was a really interesting film, especially the first time you see it, and just these musical about people turning to cannibalism and eating each other. Scott, you already mentioned Escape from LA.
I got one more, but
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead when you're ready.
And then the last one I got on here is Space Jam. Just it was such not that I love Space Jam.
I never loved it.
It was just such a huge phenomenon at the time.
Sure.
So yeah, that's me. That's my mentions.
All right. If you don't mind, I got one more. Maybe, and I'll leave the last word to you, Joe, or Dan. But it's not a good movie, but it may be very quintessentially 96. And I guess it was in theaters, but I also know it was HBO. It was Tales from the Crypt, Bordello Blood with motherfucking Dennis Miller. And terrible, but it's also so entertainingly watchable because it's kind of bad, but he knows it. And I always want them to remake Tales from the Crypt. like the actual show.
That's
But,
a good idea.
I remember seeing Bardell a number of times. Of course, like Angie, she was like a supermodel, Angie something, like super hot redhead. She's like the lead vampire, like whatever.
Everhart.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So like it's almost like a very poor version of like Dusk Till Dawn, but like it's still like Dennis Miller just doing his Dennis Miller thing, and I kind of it's both guilty pleasure, but also like if you point to a movie, like yes, of course that movie was made in '96, and it's still like I don't know if it holds up, but I would say it's an interesting artifact from it, and maybe it's an you could look at it and be like, yeah, okay, I could see why they made it, and how it's so '96 it hurts.
That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I can keep going on this forever. Anyone else have anything else they want to shout out? I mean, this is obviously the memory lane here feels so good, and I hope it feels good for everyone that's tortured through it 90 minutes or so here, and who's gonna have to edit this at some point.
Let's do a quick brief shout out to the other the other side of the coin from Happy Gilmore, I guess, is Black Sheep.
Yep.
Movie that came out that year, so. Just gotta mention that somewhere in here.
Yeah, Chris Farley always gets deserved. I mean, you have that. I was gonna say we skipped over one or two. Like, I didn't hear Basquiat at all, but Basquiat is also a personal favorite and
I never saw it.
Like early Jeffrey Wright. You've got a little Bowie as Andy Warhol. You've got I Shot Andy Warhol, so you've got the little Lily Taylor.
I thought you might,
more Lily Taylor.
There. Last Man Standing, which I did not know was a remake of Yojimbo until I watched Yojimbo recently. So, pretty cool. Slingblade gets lost over here, and I feel like
threw it down low on way low.
Yeah. I don't know who rewatches Slingblade, but like
it's okay, like it's
Billy
fine.
Bob, like again, like this.
Dwight Yoakam's good enough.
Yeah. Birdcage. I don't know if anyone said Birdcage, but like
no one said Birdcage.
No.
No one,
That's right. I almost forgot about it.
no one mentioned Fear.
Fear. Yep.
Fear.
That's kind of a seminal '90s.
Yeah. And this is so these are personal. Like, I don't know if this is considered even came out in theaters. Late Shift came out that year, which I think it was an HBO movie. But the movie about the different, like the Jay Leno copycat person doing, Jay Leno and versus Letterman movie.
Yeah.
And it was like this was a staple of like Comedy Central the year it came out. This is like the only movie they had the rights to, I think.
Of course, you got the MTV classic, Joe's Apartment as well.
Joe's Apartment was. I was about to say it was in my. So I mean, yeah, that's the MTV.
I kind of want to rewatch Joe's Apartment now that you mention it. Like, I remember liking it.
Do it. So you got that, and there's also a bunch of Seagal that we're skipping over here. But you have Glimmer Man, which is Keen Ivory Wayans meets Seagal, and you have some early. I think it's Police Story 4 came out this year.
Yeah, it was for
the Jackie Chan and Black Mask. So you have some early Jackie Chan and Jet Li-ing. Then you have Executive Decision, which I'd forgotten Seagal was in it. I always remember the other one. But you have Leguizamo doing Romeo and Juliet and then doing Executive Decision in the same year, which like I only watched one scene. I just flicked it on and it was like, I forgot the plane attached to the plane. I'm like, this is a movie. And Spy Hard. Spy Hard was my other go-to guilty pleasure. I do love Leslie Nielsen, and I love singing the theme to Spy Hard. So, the intro
it's
and
good,
outro.
It's just not Naked Gun. It's fine, but it's not at top notch.
No, it's not top notch. So, yeah, I mean, I really appreciate everyone in super indulging this. I hope it was moderately enjoyable, and I hope someone enjoyed listening to it. And we, I want to thank. The Big Picture is a podcast I listen to too that I know does drafts like this and is definitely partially inspirational on the draft side. But I want to thank everyone for taking some time and joining me in this deep excavation into nostalgia and into hopefully getting back into the movie theaters this year and feeling this feeling again, maybe, or watching someone other 13-year-old deal to get this experience. And next gen Netflix isn't the only place to watch a movie. So yeah. Any other thoughts before I close it out, boys?
No, man, it was a lot of fun. Good call, good topic, and good guests.
It was a blast. Love going down, memory lane. I
love living in the past, man.
When we post this, we'll try to get all the lists up, the rounds up into.
Yeah, I can read it very quickly if you want. I actually have the list here. So I have it: Fargo, Scream, 12 Monkeys, Romeo and Juliet. That's Steve, and then we have Steve again. Dusk Till Dawn, Train Spotting, Big Night for Dan, myself, Mission Impossible, then again, Kingpin, Tin Cup, The Rock, Cable Guy, James and the Giant Peach, ID4, Hype, Beavis and Butthead Do America, Lone Star, Hard Eight, 2 Days in the Valley, and Swingers. Now that is a film festival that I would watch. So,
Watch any of those and you'll be fucking solid.
So the Lost Signals 1996 Film Festival has concluded, and so for myself, Joe Soria, the excited 1996 13-year-old, my good friend Scott Thurlow.
Welcome to Human Race. What is it you want us to do? Die. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
Steve.
You all got your homework to do. Catch all these movies.
And Mr. Danny Dan, the Baumer Kirschenbaum.
Thanks for having me. I think we could all take off our No Fear shirts now.
Yep. This is my Edgar Allan Crow shirt. We don't want to mention the Crow City of Angels too.
So
represent.
So I had to represent just a little. There was a sequel list. Hopefully one day. I did have the idea for some Fuck, Marry, Kill, but I think we are way past time. So I really thank everyone for joining us, and we will see you next time on something, The Lost Signals.
Cheers.
Bye.